Howdy, folks. I think it might just be us today. No Eric. I didn't get a message back from Steve. All right. CFF Technical Oversight Committee for the 25th of April, 2023. Hello, Ram. Agenda for today, we'll check in on work going on CF Linux FS4. Stefan wants to talk about branch protection. We've got some PRs and AOB, as always. Anything you want to add to the agenda, go ahead and add it. Any PRs I've missed, go ahead and add them. And we'll make a start on CF Linux FS4 stuff. How's that going?
We have approvals there. I think only Eric didn't approved at the moment, but I think he's in vacation.
He is, yeah. I mean, we have a quorum anyway without Eric. So if we've all approved, are we happy to merge it? Any objections before I do that? No. So does anybody know where the work to implement this is at? Do we have a sense of a timeline for it all? Her face tells me no. Maybe ask next week.
We depend on the on Rob, basically.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. I know that was mostly for my interest.
I mean, I'm assuming that maybe SAP can speed things up by making a PR or something. But
it's a working group issue now, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's all fine. I'm just asking to be nosy for my own use more than anything. Okay. Branch protection then.
Yep, branch protection. I just wanted to give some feedback because meanwhile it's enabled and working for the application runtime deployments working group. So I would say other working groups can consider to opt in as well if they want or if they see a benefit of it. Of course, the bigger the working group, the more probably findings you have and cleanups are needed. And I just wanted to talk about a few of the learnings that we have seen. Number one is if you have in your pipelines deploy keys, then you better replace them by bots, especially if they make PRs to repositories that contain source code, because that won't work. They cannot commit without a real PR anymore. So this is actually broken. You need to ensure that all your bots are in one of the working group bots team or working group area bots team. Otherwise, they don't get excluded from this PR requirement from the branch protection rules. And you should consider to remove all direct repository users, which is anyway a bad thing. Not as the repositories should be set up, but these were findings that we had, and we had to remove it. You may want to exclude repositories without source code, like bubble configs and states, Zemver repositories, and whatever is needed just to get the pipelines running. If there's no source code inside, that's perfectly fine. And then you can also continue with deploy keys, etc. And here is an example how to do that in this branch protection YAML file. And finally, just want to mention this funny bug with regular expressions that found also all branches that contained a V inside. So that's now fixed. So it should work. That was a bit too hard. Yeah, but otherwise it's now working nicely, and as a side effect, all the strange users have been cleaned up in the RD working group.
Perfect.
That's all.
I guess I will put a shout out in the TOC channel just to see if there's any other working groups that want to volunteer to go next, and if we can get maybe one or two more on their own. Like one or two more to volunteer, then we can just sort of open it up without question once they've been through it and been happy with it, rather than try to get everybody all at once.
Would it make sense to write these things in like some, I don't know, README somewhere, like we document some migration instructions? like when enabling it, like you
Mhm.
need to check these things first, so that we have something to point these working groups
Could
to.
do that. I mean, in this, there's a README in this org folder where I document how everything works and what actually is done. Maybe I can add there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Why not? Can do that.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Yeah, maybe like wait with the shout out in the TOC channel till that's done, because then you can directly point there.
Yep, shall do. All right, PRs then. 589 is the only one I spotted. This is a transfer, so I think that needs TOC approval if it's moving between working groups. Am I right in thinking that? Or is this purely a working group issue?
I don't remember. No, you need to
No,
read
I
all the RFCs. But I'm pretty sure we need first, of course, both working groups need to
Yeah.
have agreement. That's for sure.
So we have 2 approvals already from 2 people. Let me try and find out. I don't know if anybody happens to know if the 2 people that have approved are also in a position to approve for the respective working groups. So I don't know these people. Let's have a quick look then at.
Yeah, so one is from the services management, and actually also from foundation infrastructure, but then probably the bubble parts. So I think these people are like from cryogenics internally, which is like spread out across multiple working groups.
Okay. I'm
So
looking at the
these are
working groups.
approvers, but these are not like the leads for the working group. So I
Okay.
think what we want is like the leads.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
Marcella is on holiday, and she asked me to take over, but I don't know if that's like, we don't have a process for that. But and so we need at least like, so we need from app runtime, we need approval from at least Amelia, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense.
And
I mean,
then I would say like if we have Marcella and Amelia, it should be fine.
okay. I mean, given that this was posted 17 hours ago, the latest approval was an hour ago. I'm quite happy to wait rather than ping people about this. So we'll leave this one for next time, and they'll patch us on holiday until a couple of weeks now, right?
I think she's back on like end of this week.
Okay.
No,
Then yeah.
So I'll just add Marcella and Amelia.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll leave it for now and come back to it next week and see if anybody's approved it in the meantime. All right. That to myself.
There was a Docker Hub related question or thing, something from the Start Going cleanup. There's a CF community Docker Hub organization.
Yeah, I've got control of that now. So Ruben, you or Jeff Franks or whoever has context into that, maybe we can get together and take a look at those repositories and see what's still active and what's valuable and what's not.
Define valuable. I mean, I don't know, is there like an
No.
archiving button? Because there are things that are useful, they aren't up to date, but if someone has like a problem in that area, it's useful to have those things for reference. I mean, I
Right.
quickly looked and I know, for example, that say the Bosch config resource, I mean, there's a Slack notification resource, something Windows stem cell concourse related. CredUp resource, I think, is a thing that I built myself. So Yeah, there's things that look familiar.
Sure.
But yeah, we don't have CI to update these things.
Got it.
But still,
Yeah.
like if someone comes around and expresses interest in reviving any of these projects, it's useful to have these things still there. Or do
Okay.
we have a policy that we want to like have all our Docker images up to date? Because I don't like, we have
We
many
don't-
Docker images that are old.
We don't necessarily have that policy. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, you know, the Quark was nice enough to transfer that over. I will put in an application to Docker Hub open source to get that under the umbrella of Cloud Foundry. So it's you know, sponsored open source. But that can take a very long time actually. So and that's not super important either. So it'll sit there, and yeah, Ruben, we can connect maybe next week sometime and just discuss this, or if there's nothing actionable, we can push that off a little bit even.
Yeah, because it doesn't cost money at this point, right? Because it's
Nope.
all open source.
It's
So,
still on the free, the legacy free plan, which they had, you know, put out that announcement that caused great consternation and panic in the open source communities, that they were going to retire those, but then they walked that back a bit. So you know, they're not going to be deleted, so they'll just kind of sit there. But yeah, so this is, as far as I'm concerned, you know, we should clean this up, but it's a low urgency, low priority situation.
I'm just happy that we have access to it, right? I
Yep.
think that's
Yeah, me
the
too.
most important thing, and
Yep.
make sure that it gets under the right organization or plan. I think that's the most important bit, and the rest is just like whenever someone comes around who wants to do something with these things, then we have the ability to give them access and they can take over maintenance.
Right. Okay, well, let's connect maybe next week about that and just dig into this a little bit more. Cool.
Right then. Any other business stuff?
Well, Ram and I were just in Amsterdam for KubeCon. That was a lot of fun. It was a sold out event. They had almost 11,000 people there.
Wow.
Up from 6,000 a year ago. So I think we can safely say that as far as Linux Foundation events and tech events in general, the pandemic is now over. It was busy. It felt like there was over 10,000 people there. I mean, people were in great moods and excited to talk about Cloud Foundry stuff. Ram and I were just running the Cloud Foundry booth there. And we had a lot of help from various folks in the community, which was great. So that was a lot of fun. And we talked about Karifi and Paketo primarily, but also, you know, sang the praises of Cloud Foundry in general as well. And we were promoting Cloud Foundry Day, which is coming right up in just 2 months. So most pressing, the Cloud Foundry Day CFP closes this Friday, the 28th. We've already got a decent number of submissions in, so I'm not super worried about this, but just a reminder, get those in as soon as you can. And then you should probably also book travel, you know, if not this week, then next week. It's just 2 months out. And register for the event. We did hear I heard a couple of rumors. 2 different people told me that they heard that Cloud Foundry Day was sold out already. It is not sold out. As a matter of fact, when I checked last week after hearing this vicious rumor, there were 2 people registered in person, and I was one of them. So no one has registered yet. It's not sold out. There's space. I think we might sell out, like, you know, the week of the event. I mean, we will probably fill up, but you can come. So there's like 50 people registered virtually, but only a couple of people have registered in person. That's not as urgent as getting your CFP submissions in and booking your travel probably, but yeah. Ram and I'll be at the Heidelberg Marriott, but there is no official hotel, but feel free to join us there. And we just formed a program committee. I'll publicize that publicly later today or tomorrow. We've got Stefan Lay from SAP, Marcela Campo from VMware, and Dr. Gao, formerly of Stark and Wayne. So we've got a great program committee, and they'll start taking a look at that shortly after the CFP closes, which is Friday. So that's it, and really looking forward to that event. we did hear from a few folks, you know, different companies, Any9s and a few other companies that they'll be sending some folks to it. So should be a great event.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Any other business?
Maybe regarding capacity, Chris, do you know more now?
I've been trying to get that number from Deb. I'm going to meet with her later today. It's at least 70. It might be more, but I'll know that later today, and I'll give you a concrete number. I pinged her last week, but I failed to. Ron caught up with her in Amsterdam, but I never saw her there because when you have 11,000 people in a place, you don't necessarily find people. So, but I'm meeting with her later today, and I'll follow up with you on that today.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Any other news, any other dealings, any other things people want to cover? No. All right. Well then, same time, same place next week, folks. Right?
Maybe one.
Oh.
I will create PRs to get the repository about the CF Linux FS4 and so, and at you as reviewer if you can react on that, so that we can not wait until the next TOC meeting.
Yep,
will be great.
Sounds fine. Yeah, but bung it in the TOC channel and get some reviews on it. All right, perfect. Right. See you all next week, folks.
Wow.
See you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.